to Unsubscribe. We are so glad that you've joined us for this Wednesday. We are here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. We have a great team here and we just really like to have a chat, get to know each other, find out what's been happening during the week and so on. So if you want to follow us on social media, we would love it if you followed us on Instagram and on Facebook. So the links are for socials at unsubscribe_Bright City Church, and the Facebook handle is Unsubscribe Bright City Church UK. So we had an awesome week last week. Joel was leading, it was brilliant, and we had Tanya with us, and I was there as well, which was brilliant. And we just had a really good chat about in but not of, and so that was in but not of the world. And so we've got a little recap now for you guys to have a look at.
You are now tuned in to episode 2, believe it or not, of Unsubscribe. I'm joined by the lovely ladies Tanya.
Hello, good evening.
And Charlotte. We did a little elbow touch. I'm kind of a fan of that these days. And the topic for today, in, not, of.
I was going to say that.
Oh, did you gonna run?
You know, the classical things like you think about being in the world is sort of going with the flow with what everyone else does.
We want to represent God well,
Yeah.
right? But then at the same time, we want to be able to like relate to people that are around us.
Why would we be told to be apart from the world?
Yeah.
But it says, for God so loved the world.
Yeah. Look, we are all on a process, we're all on a journey, we're learning how to walk this out.
Yeah.
But I think there is a balance to be struck.
Generally speaking, there's 3 meanings attached to the word world.
Mm-hmm.
The third sort of meaning is cosmos, and that generally tends to mean a world system. That is the world that we're told to be apart from.
And so if we don't share that with people and we don't communicate that with people, how are they meant to know anything else?
Having a relationship with God, being in the way, like the ways of God, following the ways of God is the best thing. Like you're not missing out anything.
Yeah, so that's why it's so important that us as believers, that we get out there, that we share the gospel and we tell them about Jesus, and not only tell them, but we show them who we are.
You need to be clear of what the difference is, because if you assume that world means anyone in it, you're missing the point, because even Jesus came and reached out to people and took people out of darkness.
Our relationship with God sort of prevents us from having that being in the world, if that makes sense. Of course we are amongst the world, but I think it's the where we get our values from, where we get our direction from.
So it's so important to be relatable in the world which we live and share the gospel and share God's love in a practical way. Hello again! So I have the amazing Jade and the beautiful Canal with me, which is so good. It's so good to be all girls here representing Unsubscribe. We're just missing Tanya tonight, but she's going to be here next week, and she's got an amazing session lined up with a guest speaker as well. So ladies, how was your week?
All good.
All good? What have you been up to?
Just working, but not really working.
I hope your work isn't watching.
Well, if you are, sorry. But it's all good. It's all good.
It's all good. So kind of like productive personally, but maybe not so productive
Absolutely.
work-wise.
Hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
With a massive hammer. That's great.
And yourself, Canal?
I was productive at both.
Good.
So life,
That's what we like.
I mean by life, like I did rest a lot.
Yeah.
So if that counts as productive.
I think so. Rest is important.
But work, busy, so all good.
I
Yeah.
need to get some tips from you. That balance.
Work-life balance.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
And how do you do
I mean,
it?
I'm not a mom, so that might also play.
That's true.
I mean, I have more of a life balance than a work balance. Anyway.
We digress. I feel like there's going to be a lot more chit chat on this one with 3 girls. Like Joel's not here to rein us in. It could go either way, people, either way. So what did you think of last week? Obviously you guys weren't here, but you were tuning in, you were watching online. What did you think? What were the general vibes you were getting?
Well, I have to say great things because my husband was kind of leading and on screen, so there would be trouble at home if I decided that. I'm just kidding. No, I thought it was really good. But I think it's an important topic because we all have these questions about how to be a light where there's like situations where there's no light basically.
Yeah.
Right.
So I thought it was quite interesting to have like that balance, is whether you guys kind of said of my takeaway on it was that some people are called to be somewhere or at some time in their life they will have to go somewhere, but then other times it's fine if they can't go somewhere or they can't be somewhere because maybe they're convicted or maybe it's like a struggle or just it's not their calling.
Right.
So I think it's like not being guilty of being somewhere or not being somewhere, as long as you know this is your place and that's where you're called to.
That's Jade?
Yeah, it's same.
You can't go with that. We're trying to speak to the people.
Do you know what it is, yeah? I think every single topic that we cover is going to have some sort of correlation, which is the greatest thing. So when I look about last week and how it was in and not of the world, it kind of really relates to what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
And I guess you guys will see all of that if you listen a little longer. So
don't tune out now.
I think it was just really amazing, God-centered conversation. So I'm very happy with how it went.
I thought it was a really good night. It was like, it felt really chilled, but the conversation was deep as well. We covered like a lot of different bases. It was so good having different people's like opinions and like how they thought about it and how they interpreted it as well. And hopefully we're going to do the same tonight, which would be really cool. So as you know from this week, we have a discussion lined up for you, and it's in 2 parts, which should be good. We've got some audience participation as well. For those of you, if you were here, I feel you wouldn't be making eye contact with me right now. You'd be like, no, not the audience participation. But the discussion for this week is called Build Up. And I guess you're all thinking, well, what does that actually mean? Like, build up, what does that mean? Charlotte, what's your talk about? What's this chat about? But actually, for me, building up is associated with building up others and people that have like imparted, invested into me over a period of time to get me to where I am today. And it's like a journey, right? It continues along that path the whole time. And so I guess that's what's on my heart. Like, on my heart, it's important to invest in others, but it's also to look back and see who invested in you, how you changed, and what that looks like.
Yeah, and acknowledge it as well.
Exactly, and acknowledge those people, because, you know, investing into others, it takes time, it takes energy from someone else, and everyone has their own personal lives, everyone has stuff going on, people are busy, they have work, they have kids, they have social things, they have hobbies that they want to do, but it's really important as people of God that we continue to invest into others and grow people, and so that's basically what Build Up is about. So I'm going to use the word probably like imparted a lot and invested. Canal, I was having a conversation with her yesterday and she was saying, well, what does this actually mean, Charlotte? And I was like, wow, that's a very good point, Canal. Not everyone might not get like that terminology in terms of what imparting means. For me, it means someone that spends time with you where you're building a relationship naturally with them, and they're just speaking into your life, or they're just showing you what their life is about. And that could just be simple as being around them and looking at how they do marriage, how they do church, how they do work, and how they communicate with people, how they grow as a person, and how they challenge others. And so the scripture I want to look at tonight is 1 Thessalonians 5 verses 11, which is written by Paul actually. So I think we're going to pull that up on the screen. So it says, therefore encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. So this was something that Paul wrote to the church in Thessalonica, and he wrote it at a time when a lot of Christians and people were being persecuted for their beliefs. And I think he did it more of like an encouragement to the church and to those people that actually that it's really important to still encourage one another, even when you're in tough situations and tough circumstances. So I was thinking we could come on to you guys and we could say, like, what's your experience with like people that have built into you, Jade? So we'll start with you first.
Okay, so I'm very, very blessed to have had a plethora of people that have imparted into my life. So I think starting kind of from the beginning would be my mum and would be my sister. So my mum imparted love and nurture and all of those things, and morals and ground rules and all those things that have really shaped me as an adult. I mean, there was a time when it wasn't so listened to, but actually looking at it now and the way my life has gone, everything that my mum's ever said to me is what I'm doing now, is what I'm living now, particularly to do with parenting. My mum was that person who was pivotal in my life to kind of teach me how to do those really important bits as a mother, and at the time as a single mother. And then kind of right now it would be Eddie, my husband, who has been the only person only man, I should say, that's ever given love freely to me as a male influence in my life, and so that has just been incredible for me. I just, I give glory to God for putting these people in my life, and I go back again sort of to my childhood, and I think of all the figures of when I was growing up in church, and it would be the likes of Ian and Rachel, who were my youth pastors, and Paul and Rosie Dunning, and Ali and Rick, and just like all these random, not really random, because they were placed in my life, specifically placed in my life, who really built me up, and I don't even think they realised what an impact they had. And I know as youth pastors you're kind of expected to kind of do something with the youth, and at the time it might not feel like you're getting through to those people or whatever, and I probably was one of those people that they thought, what's going on with this person? But again, I look back at life values that they taught, and scripture that they gave, and encouragement that they gave as well, and another reason why I'm here. And then most of my adult life I was in a church in London, and I had some amazing mentors there, some people that really taught me how to stand on my own 2 feet in my faith, to pray, people that were praying for me, and I'm so grateful for them also. Just thinking about so many different people. I think even you guys, like, you don't even know it, and that's the funniest thing. Like, there was a time where you, Charlotte, opened your home, and I was literally broken. I was a broken person, but I didn't know that I was a broken person. I look back now and know that I was, but I was able to like stay and get away from whatever, and there were times when I was absolutely broke, like in recent times, and Canal would just text and say like, come for dinner, and I'd be like, okay. And then there was dinner was served, and that's people who have imparted in me and had amazing like influences and inspirations, and just the small conversations, reaching out here and there every now and again. And it's all God ordained. I know that for a fact now. So that's
awesome.
me.
I think it's just so cool to see that actually it's sometimes like the smaller things as well. Like it's the way that people just act among each other, and the love that they show and that they share with people.
It's the behaviours.
Exactly.
More than just trying to like say something, be like, right, if I'm imparting in your life, I'm your mentor, this is going to be like official, but a lot of time it's just through, I think you said it, like through relationship and through our behaviour and the way we just are as people. Like we might not realise, because I genuinely didn't know she was going through that, like what she just said, it's just news to me, but like for me it's just normal, like come for dinner. So I think like,
and that's your heart as well, right? Like you love cooking for people, and you love all of that, which is awesome. So I think it's like, don't try to like force things, but so just be yourself, and then you're naturally going to do an impact on someone in ways that you might not even realize. Like some people, will have like a more official impact, like if it's your pastor, for example, but if it's just like friends, we're not always trying to outdo ourselves. It's just through friendship. I think that's so important as well, because I think we can get caught up in what actually it means to be a mentor. Like I think mentoring is like thrown around all over the place, whether that's in the workplace or even in church as well. Like find yourself a mentor, but actually finding yourself a mentor is actually the people that you surround yourself with. It's people that you have like things with, familiar things with, that have the same kind of like level of morals, or in the same place as you. And someone once told me as well that if you're going to hang out with people, either hang out with people that you're going to grow from, so that they can really impart wisdom into you, and that they can build you up, or hang out with someone that actually you can do that too, that you can share wisdom and knowledge and just show them what your life looks like and how you're representing God's.
Definitely.
And it might not be good all the time, we're only human at the end of the day. We might mess up, we might get it wrong, but as long as majority of the time we're leading by example, then that's the best thing to do.
And even through messing up, we can still lead by example.
Definitely.
100%.
And like recognize it, do something about it, not just be like, I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen. I think like I can think of times where I've had people that were like hierarchically, is that a word? Hierarchy, like above me in that sense. But if they did something that was a bit like, ooh, but then they like were upfront with it, I always do, like, I would respect that. Like I have a lot of respect for it, because instead of trying to pretend or bury it or like just like act like it didn't happen or you're better than everyone, just like act like a human. I think it has a great impact on me anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes I think when someone messes up, it's the biggest show of character how they then deal with that situation. Because it can really be amazing to see somebody else say, hey, this is my bad, like this is my fault, I messed up, I'm sorry, I bear the consequences for this, but I really want to move on and I want to move forward with you guys. And that is just like such a massive character trait in a positive way. If I saw that in someone, I'd be like, hey, they're willing to take ownership for what they've done.
And they're just human as well. It just stops it breaks down everything, and it's like, all right, we're all human. Well, no one is better than the other, but sometimes we can forget that, and then you find people that you think, do you actually think you're better than everyone? Because the way you're acting reflects that, and it might not even be what they want to show, but that's how it comes across. So I think it's very important to just always go back to, we're all human here, no one's better. I think even the Bible says, I can't remember the verse, but it does say, think of everyone as above yourself. And it's very true. It's not to say like everyone is so much better than me, I'm rubbish, I'm like a nothing person, but it's more to be like, just like always lift up everyone else. And naturally, if I'm lifting you up, your job is to lift me up as well. It's like, it's not...
It's reciprocated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I just said that too. Great minds.
Great minds.
Love it.
So you were talking about like the hierarchical side of things as well, but actually I was thinking earlier as well, and something, this is what God was challenging me on, is age actually as well. Obviously, so Sam and I have worked in youth ministry, and it tends to be that youth pastors are older than the youth themselves, although you'd be surprised the amount of times I got mistaken for a youth when we were doing youth ministry in Dubai. These parents would walk in and be like, hi, is the person in charge here? And I'd be like, that's me.
Oh, I actually got told, because I started doing the youth, and I was the youth leader. I was 19. And then a parent came to me and was like, how can you be the leader? You're still a youth yourself. And I was like, well.
So that exactly leads me on to my point, right? Because I think sometimes we get so caught up in the fact that the person that's speaking into us has to be older than us, or has to be like the same kind of age. They can't be younger, basically, is what it comes down to. But actually, I just want to challenge that like whole thinking and that philosophy, because I'm a real believer of like, anyone can speak into anybody's life and impart godly wisdom. Everyone has got the Holy Spirit inside of them. I mean, at our church in Dubai, I've seen young kids that have been trained in prophetic ministry that have given such accurate prophetic words, and God's just using them, and the Holy Spirit is just ministering to people through them. And so Timothy is a great example in the Bible. I think he gave his life to God when he was 16, and I think it's written in there that basically Paul led him in that, and then Paul actually mentored him for a lot of his life, sent him to Ephesus to spread the word, and just really imparted godly knowledge, wisdom, and opportunity into him as well. Yeah, and he was I think he started doing that when he was 21. He started going with Paul, and I think it was Silas as well, and just ministering. And that to me, as a 21-year-old, like that's amazing. And so
it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing. Like I think about, even from my own experience with my son Micah, he's 10. And yet he comes up sometimes with the most amazing wisdom, and that can only be from God. And you never underestimate a person just because of their age. It means nothing. I remember, just thinking about our own selves, when we were younger, and the amount of people, you might have great ideas or whatever, and people might look at you and be like, oh, what would you know, you're this age, but actually you know it. And you're there, you're like, but the automatic thing is to kind of shut them down, and that's
you don't know
not the right thing.
About.
Exactly. Well, you have no life experience, you don't know. Yes, we do, and especially if it is come from God.
Well, the Bible says to have faith like little children. So
exactly that.
That must be for a reason.
Exactly for a reason.
But it's like, it's very interesting what you say, because a lot of times in my life I've been really impacted by people that were younger than me. Not that I'm that old. But
how old are you now?
Well,
she always calls us old, like the people that were born in 1989, which I think is like me,
they're born
Sam,
a different
Joel,
decade than me.
Jim's here as well. But
I'm a 94 baby.
94 baby.
I'm the last year of the millennials. And then there's Vicky.
Then there's Vicky,
But so like when I was even younger than now. So people were not even that much younger than me, but they, like, I would be like 20, 21, and then there would be like teenagers or even children, and they would just have such a fire for God. And I used to do a lot of evangelization, like outreach ministries for the youth, and a lot of them obviously were young people because it was for the youth, and they just had such a fire, even like Vicky's in the text I'm looking at. Like, I'm not just looking.
They're our tech team, they're amazing.
But like, even Vicky, I remember a few years ago when I first arrived at Bright City ACF at the time, she was still in the youth, and she was leading the session for the youth, and I just remembered thinking like, yes, like, it's not because she's their age that she can't
speak into their lives.
Yeah, because like, especially in a church context, we have a spiritual maturity as well. Yes. Like, someone that's 50 and has literally just gave their life to God, and I'm like 25, just revelation, and I've been a Christian for 10 years. Like, our spiritual maturity is not the same, and yes, I can learn from him, like, if he's 50, he's got life experience, but the other way around is true as well. And
definitely.
Yeah,
because exactly it. I think there's so many different things, and whether that's like worldly skills that you end up learning about, or you end up learning spiritually, that side as well. I mean, there's so much input that you can have from various different people in your lives that it's amazing. In fact, I'm going to say it, that even if you're shutting yourself off from the people around you, like, you're missing out on opportunities to grow as a person, like spiritually and in general as well, in development. Canel, I'll come to you in a minute, but when Sam and I used to go to church in London, brilliant church, and we joined the youth team there when we were there, and they had amazing youth pastors called Carl and Kirsty, and Carl and Kirsty basically took Sam and I under their wing. They were brilliant in terms of the way that they just wanted relationship with us at the end of the day. They wanted to know that we were okay, they wanted to see us grow, but actually they didn't really do it in any kind of formal way. They just did it in a way that was, hey, come round for dinner, like, they invited us into their lives, basically. We saw what their marriage looked like. We saw how they did ministry. We saw how they did friendships. And that was the best way in which they could, like, mentor us, because we saw what a healthy marriage looked like. And we were dating at the time. And I remember thinking, wow, this is really cool to see a married couple that we're invited into their life to, like, participate, to see how they do life, and to see what works, and how they put God forward, and how they put him first, and how they partner with him. And I remember, Carl was Sam's best man, and Kirsty was my maid of honour in the end. They just really spoke volumes to us over the years that we've known them. And we haven't spoken to them for a while, which is really sad, but actually the fact remains that they are people that planted seeds in our life that we have now seen fruit from, whether that's a case of that they really imparted to us when we were leading various things. They gave us feedback, they told us how to do better, they told us what was good, which was really, really cool. So, Canal, I'll move on to you. So who is that distinct role in your life that imparted and invested into you?
So I have like different people. I grew up in the church, so like Jade, a lot of people in the church will automatically have that role. So youth leaders, pastors, even still now. Funny you spoke about like people that you look up to for marriage, because like we have the same with Joel. Even like your in-laws, so the Hills, like Rick and Ali.
The Hills, Ali.
Yeah. All the Hills are great. But yeah, so Rick and Ali.
What ones are better, Canal? No.
I'm not gonna say on camera. But yeah, so like we've been around them a lot. We look up to them as like we want to be like them when we're their age. Like same with the Fowks, like Ian and Rachel. Same with the pastors I grew up with in Paris.
But why is that? Why do you want to be like why do you aspire to be like them?
So first of all, I don't have great marriage example in my personal life, as in like in my family. So I had to find it somewhere else, and then it was just always natural. It wasn't, apart from Ian and Rachel that we did marriage prep with, and they're the people that are go-to people if we've got like something we want to talk about, or like advice or things like that. But also very informal, like just seeing them, you just pick up things that you see, oh, that's interesting how they talk to their spouse, or oh, the way they talk to their spouse in public is just like not Ian and Rachel talking about people we see in life, like the way people behave. Also would just be like, even before I was with Joel, then when we were dating, engaged, and now married, we constantly obviously see people and how they live life, and just to see how they interact with each other in their marriage, or how they represent their marriage in a public setting, and then when we know them in more private settings as well, when they tell us things, and it's just very important to have people to look up to help you understand how to do life,
and that accountability as well.
Exactly. And I've had also people helping me to understand how to be like a woman when I was still a teenager, but that's when you build foundations, how to be like a wife. I've got friends that I see how, I don't know, how often they would read the Bible. There's like Rebecca, she like begs for everyone else. I can't call her Bex for some reason. But Bex, for example, I always see how she, like every morning she sets time for God in a specific way, and she just wouldn't stray from that. There's just so many things, or like everyone really can just be an impact.
That's exactly it. I think surrounding yourself with people that just challenge you and make you think, oh, I should do that too, and how can I apply that principle in my life, is a really good way to like grow and challenge yourself. Definitely.
And your spouse as well. I would say like Jade, like your spouse, mine is probably like the first one now to do that, like Joel, don't know why I keep saying spouse, Joel. But yeah, like he would like help me to do life and like show me probably helps. He's a little bit older than me, so like he's gone through stages I haven't yet. But yeah, like just like spiritually I can rely on him, like teach me things about life, practical things, how to set goals for my life or things like that. So that's really important as well, to be that person for them as well.
Definitely. And so then when I start thinking about like people that you're spending time with and that you're learning from, I feel like, so definitely in my experience, the people that I spent time with in church and they taught me how to do things and with like a level of excellence, all of those kinds of things are then transferable into like the workplace and into just daily life as well, right? So taking it outside of the church context when we're there on a Sunday or when we're serving on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday, and transferring those into the workplace. Like my experience was that I could take those skills that I learned from equippers in London and they really helped me in my career. And I honestly can say that I don't think I would be where I am in my career without the people that have imparted into me, and the fact that I can take those skills and apply them to something else. So the leadership side of things, obviously when you're a youth pastor, there's a certain expectation about how you lead a team, how you lead young people, but actually the ability to take those skills and also apply them to your team at work and look at how you can set culture in your workplace as well. I just feel that's so important and so cool at the same time. What do you think about that?
It's so important. We talk about lifestyle, we're talking about lifestyle here. So when we've learned these things, these morals and values that perhaps we learned from the church, we've taken it into our workplaces. And very, very similar to what we were talking about last week on the in not of, we then set precedents for being something different inside of our workplaces, and to be completely just led, Holy Spirit led, and as well, so we're able to kind of have a really good working ethic. And I said earlier about not really doing much this week, but when I do stuff at work, I actually do really
At least
well.
you're honest with it?
That's it. She's being very honest.
No, but on a level, like I do have to do a lot at work. So when I do the work is to an exceptional standard, and that's something that I've absolutely learnt here. You can't half-heartedly do something.
For sure.
It has to be done with your all and everything in excellence. So yes, that's true. And again, life skills, that you learn all these different things. I've learned so much from being a mum that I've had to take into my work, that I've had to take into church, and so everything is compatible with it actually. So that's where I'd go with that. I think it's really important to be the light.
And
something like that.
Canel, have you got like a specific example that you could think of that maybe you learned in a church environment that you then applied to the workplace or to something in your life?
I think for me, for example, it could be integrity.
Yeah.
And just like have like real integrity and be rooted into knowing who you are, and then that just applies to every area, like the workplace, and you stay true to who you are, especially if you don't work in a setting that's very, you know, faith-filled. Like, how do you keep true to yourself? How do you stay true to yourself? And people have often told me, like, I don't go and be like, hi, I'm Canel, your new co-worker, I'm a Christian, by the way. But multiple times at different places I've worked, people have come to me and asked, are you a Christian by any chance? And when I ask, why are you asking me? They'll be like, there's just something different about you. Or I knew a Christian and then you kind of the same. And like, I didn't go and try to be a Christian, but if you stay, like, if you keep your integrity, which is something I have learned in the church and seeing like people live out integrity, then you just keep it and you transfer it to the work, to your love life, to like everything really.
That's so true. And I think as well, like all of those things, so you say about learning integrity, it's basically, yes, we learn it from the word of God, but we also learn it from people that are demonstrating it around us. And that's why it's so important as Christians and as followers of God that we replicate that as well. Not because we have to, but because out of love, and because we want to, basically, because we want to share God's love. And that's what it all comes down to, I think, is trying to share God's love of what he wants us to be like, that we want to be more like Jesus, and that we want to move forward in our lives. So we're going to do a bit of audience participation. Cue remove eye contact. Luckily you're not in the room. So basically I have my trusty phone up here, and there's loads of little comments on here, which is amazing, and it's so good to have this and to have like some comments that encourage us, and we can see and we can just get encouraged by it, which is really cool. So this is what we're going to do this week. And so I did have a little video to show, but unfortunately it's not working. But if you want to check it out online, you can do. It's called Simon Sinek, and Simon Sinek is like an entrepreneur. He also has written a whole load of books. I don't think he's a Christian. Yes, he's not a Christian as far as I'm aware, but he is a brilliant leader, and he has some amazing TED Talks and various material out there. And so when I'm trying to learn or develop, I always like to take Christian stuff, like godly stuff, spiritual stuff, but I also want to take some of the secular stuff as well, right? I want to learn about what's happening in the world. And there's some really skilled people out there that have got amazing gifts in how to move forward, how to challenge yourself, how to lead others as well.
And sometimes also when you see people like in the secular world, you're like, you took that from God, but I know it.
I know
you might not know it.
Imagine if you did that. By the way, you are not the author of that.
That
is God. And so we just wanted to ask you guys out there, who has been influential in your life, and how have they done that? And so we're going to have a little look at those comments in a minute, but we'll leave you to do that for a couple of minutes, and it will just be really good to hear. And that might be people that are currently in Bright City Church at the moment. It might be someone else that's outside of Bright City that maybe goes to another church, or nothing to do with church at all. It might be like a family member, like you said, Jade. It might be a husband, it might be a wife, and you just want to acknowledge them and how they've imparted into you, which is really cool. So I'll wait for some little comments and then we'll discuss them.
And it doesn't have to be spiritually as well. So remember that. It doesn't have to be a spiritual impart. It just can be whoever, the positive things.
Could be a co-worker. Like we've all had co-workers that we like, as a co-worker, as like someone that works, I want to be like them. Like,
yeah, definitely.
We'll have that, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds cool. So just more on that video by Simon Sinek, as we can't watch it. But I say we can't watch it. Our tech team are amazing. I mean, I'm slightly biased because Samuel Hill is in the tech team. Another Hill. I know we're infiltrating everywhere. And they're brilliant. Jim and Vicky are doing an amazing job. So shout out to them, because they are here so much of their time at the moment. They're here for pretty much all of the material that goes out on the shows at Bright City Church. And that's a big deal, really. You know, they've got lives. Vicky's studying, Jim's working, and they're trying to get their wedding sorted as well, but they're dedicating time to make sure that you guys are blessed, which is a really cool thing to do.
So if you think you want to come and join, or even just check it out, please do. Because even the intern of the day is Joel, which already does a lot. And then, so we need outsiders. We need people that really want to like serve the church, especially at this moment. There's not really much opportunities to serve the church, so
exactly.
you can definitely join.
Come and learn.
Definitely. Right, so I'm going to have a little look and see if we've got anything on here. We've got a lot of the hills are alive and the hills have eyes. Tanya said, my mum, my personal mentors, my family and my friends, which is really cool. So a lot of the time, obviously, we spend so much time with our family and they have such a great influence on us. Saying that though, not everyone has family around them that actually can be a positive influence. And so you're actually really blessed if you've got family around you that are having a positive impact in your life, that show you how to love well, that show you how to love others well. I think it's really important.
From that as well, even when you don't have that that inspiration from them, you can learn to be better than what they were. So, you know, they
identify.
Absolutely. You can say, oh, you know, this person wasn't really great, but you know what, I'm gonna flip that and do something better, and it stops here. So my line is gonna be, they're gonna know love, they're gonna know this, they're gonna know that, and that's just the way.
And you can also create another family as well.
Absolutely,
especially if you're a Christian, like every Christian is your family. So that can also be like, financially, if you, like I said earlier, if you don't have great examples of marriage in your personal family life, for example, just look for some.
Surround yourself with people that do, and see how they do life. So Jay's written, Ben, my husband, his passion for worship and the word has always inspired. He has such an important role in my growth as a worship leader, which again is so true. Like I mean, you wouldn't want to be with someone that didn't have such a profound influence on your life.
That would be a bit boring.
It would be boring, and there'd be nothing to challenge you. And the fact that we can honour like our husbands and our wives as well is just really cool. Joel said, my mum taught me great morals that guided me. Pastor David Lamb, the most godly man I know. Jane Buss says, Greg Foss, the pastor from Hadley Church, has been a spiritual father to me and Paul. Vicky says, Pastor David started me off in my faith, which laid so many foundations. Now my lovely second family taught me about a healthy family dynamic.
I love that.
Pastor Ian said, my wife, my family, my pastors, mentors, great godly examples. Billy Graham, I came to the Lord through his ministry. Wow. So you just really don't know like the impact that you have on people around you, because you just think, like Pastor Ian saying there, my wife, my family, my pastors, mentors are all great godly examples, and that is so true. You just don't know the profound impact that you're having on someone.
Even like parents have like an impact obviously on their children, whether it's positive or negative, but the other way around is true as well. I know mum, she wouldn't admit it to me directly, but she would like say it to Joel, for example. Sometimes like when they have private conversations, she would say, like I look up to Canal for that, or like she would say, oh, when I was going through that, she helped me, and I'm like, oh really, I had no idea. So, and I've heard that multiple times from different people, like parents that would come to us to ask prayer, for example, or for something, because obviously it's like what we said, the age, like it doesn't define like how much wisdom you can give to someone, or just like how impacting your life can be for someone. But I think like as children, it's also good to be aware that we have an impact on our parents, and that we can have that impact. So and parents, we can.
Definitely. Even I think like, so Sam and I have got a baby Chloe.
So cute.
She's very cute. I might be biased, but she's 7 months old, and I just think how much I've changed as a person since having her, and the way that she like stretches me, the way that she grows me, and how much I've learned in terms of like grace and patience as well, which are not necessarily attributes that I held very well previously, but actually I'm just growing in it. And I mean, she can't even talk yet, but she still has such an influence over me, and I'm still learning something from her on a daily basis. Who else have we got here? Pick up on
what Joel said.
Yeah.
Also the Fothergills, they let me live with them when they first came to Ashford and taught me loads about how to live as a person of faith. Yes, I will concur. I mean, I didn't live with the Fothergills, but I basically did at the same time. Like, I had my own space, but I was always there, and I still am always there. Like, literally every time I see these guys, they're there.
Every time we go to visit them, she's always there before us.
Yeah. Such amazing people who are young and so strong in their faith and just love God, and they have again amazing morals and just beautiful people. So shout out to you guys.
Boop, boop. Paula Toes has written, along with Joyce Meyer teaching, Pastor Chris Gill has been a great encouragement and mentor to me when I was going through cancer treatment. My parents are great and I love them to pieces, my brothers, especially Peter. That's just so cool. I mean, I've got nothing else to say. Joyce Meyer is brilliant. She's got some brilliant books out. I think one of the books I read by her was called Just Prayer, and it really challenged me. It was about this book, and basically the whole situation around it was, when we pray, why do we say, Lord, just do this, or Lord, just do this? We don't want him to just do anything. We want like it in abundance. Like, we're not limiting what he's got for us. We want it exponentially. And Joyce
same
Meyer
with
is
worship
brilliant.
leaders. Like when I listen to some worship songs and I'm like, how does like this person that wrote this song, like surely they've got like a great relationship with God to write this, and just like to look up to that as well and try to want to, you know, have that relationship as well.
Definitely. So we're going to move on to the next part of the discussion, because I'm very aware that we're running out of time. So we've looked at who imparted into us, what that looked like, how that has given us so many skills, whether that's transferable, whether that's in the church, just shaping us as general people. And so the next part of my discussion is our experience of how we have imparted into others. So like our personal experience of how we continue to impart into others, because it's all very well everyone imparting to us, and it's brilliant, but actually unless we take that and then move forward with it and like play it back and reach out, then it stops with us. And that's not really what I'm about. No. I don't know if that's what you're about. That's not what I'm about. I don't think you are. And so, we've touched on it previously, but my experience, I guess, lies in the whole youth ministry side of things. We've been working in Dubai. Well, when I say working, we've been youth pastors in Dubai and in London as well. So I think probably we've been in youth ministry for about 12 years now. And so I think we've just spent a lot of time imparting into young people, and that has just come through relationship, really. Like we were previously saying, the majority of it has come just taking time to take them out for a drink, for a coffee, for a hot chocolate, and just spending time with them and listening about their life, and getting to know them. And that's been the best way to speak into their lives, to bring some kind of correction as well if it's needed, and accountability. I'm a firm believer in that you have to have relationship with someone before you can bring some kind of accountability or correction. And for accountability, I feel like you have to be invited into that as well. Like someone turns around to you and says, hey, I'm struggling with this, or can you help me with this? And that's where the accountability comes from. So Jade and Canal, your experience is also kind of similar to mine in terms of like youth ministry related, young people related. How did you see people grow, or what's been your personal example of how you've invested into other people, basically? So I'll start with you.
Oh. I was trying to sway her.
Gives me time to think. It's good.
But me, it's been a lot about youth people, like you said. So when I was a youth, or when I think some people would still say I was a youth, but kind of out of the youth. And then obviously I have younger sisters, so first of all, my sisters, I've always tried to invest in them, and then recently one of them just turned, the youngest, she just turned 18, she's just went to uni. In September. I feel very old right now. But when she had to take the decision of which uni to go to and all that, so we've already had during the year like lots of conversation about faith and where she's at and all of that, and her telling me that she's really looking up to me, and me freaking out because I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do when she was around? But all of that, so I was really aware, which I wasn't before, but she just came to, she was like, I don't know what to do, what should I do? So I just told her, Well, just stop asking everyone. Just maybe ask God, thinking, pretty sure she's not going to do it because she barely prays and all that.
Does she have a relationship with God, or what's
Well,
her kind of
not
background?
really at the moment. But she really wants to, and she's really trying. And then so she's getting there, but it's not like a daily thing.
Yeah.
And then she came back to me the next day. She was like, "So I did what you asked me to do. Just like go and ask God." So I just prayed. I was like, "Oh, I need help." And then I just opened the Bible, and the first thing it said was that I can't actually remember what it was, but she said, I couldn't believe it. When I opened my Bible, the first thing was exactly what I asked for, and then I got my answer. So then I kept telling all my friends when they asked me why I chose to go to that uni, I was like, I just asked God and he answered to me, and I'm like, that's so cool.
That's so cool, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So because I was always surrounded by them and their friends, I had a lot of their friends coming to me as well and ask advice on things, which is really cool. Really like, oh my gosh, like responsibility.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's important to know you have like people look up to you. We all do. We all look up to people. So people look up to you as well. So that's where behavior comes into place. And then lastly, I would say there's been a few times where I'm aware that a few like people older than me as well had been impacted by my life. I've been around a lot of like older people during ministry with like older people, and then a lot of time obviously we go through conversations. I worked as a missionary for a year, and so that's just like,
I never knew that. I feel like I'm learning stuff as we're going.
I mean, she never knew that we met like 2 months ago.
Yeah, that is true. Very true. I mean, I feel like there's going to be a lot of this stuff, but it's good to know, right?
Yeah. So I worked for Youth for Christ in France, and then like feedback that you get from people and tell you like, wow, like what you shared really impacted me and like really made me think, and you're like, oh really, like you're there to me. And then when they tell you that, or like people that were older than me, like youth leaders sometimes, and then remember one time something, and I thought, oh, I don't know how to feel about what this leader like is doing. Like I didn't feel comfortable, and I just reached out to them and I just told them like, this is why I think it was just like, I was a bit shocked and like not really like why, and I was feeling, oh my gosh, he's gonna think I'm such a freak, like like I'm a teenager and he's in like much older. And then he came back and said, actually thank you, because I never saw it that way, and that's really encouraging, and then like kind of like repentant and all that. And it was really eye-opening for me, because like, oh yeah, like it's not because I'm young that I can't make a difference.
Definitely.
Like I'm not reaching to make a difference, not my goal in life, like to make a difference to older people and be like, what you do is wrong. But I mean, like just naturally it just happens.
That's really cool. It's like you just never know what kind of effect that you're going to have on someone, and the fact that your sister is coming to you for like advice and you're able to impart that godly wisdom to her, is you just are planting seeds. You're planting seeds for the future of when she decides to make that like lifelong commitment to God, and as her like relationship with him grows stronger, and that's so beautiful that you're going to be part of her journey on that.
Love that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so Jade, moving on to you. So in terms of like, obviously you've gone through a lot of different experiences as well, like we said, probably a lot youth orientated and some not too. How does it challenge you as a person? Like how do you grow as a person when you're investing into others?
So when I found out about what this topic was going to be about, build up, the thing that dropped into my spirit was aspire to inspire.
Ooh,
so
that's good.
I really,
say it again. Say it again.
Hashtag
aspire to inspire.
Good.
So when you really, you know that inspiration is important, so then you aspire to then be that inspiration, be that influence, be impactful, impart wisdom and knowledge and understanding into the lives of others. And I think the very first time that I understood how to impact, or how amazing it is to do that, is when I was about 13. We went off to Los Angeles for maybe like I don't even know, what was it, Sam? Do you remember? Youth with a Mission?
Yeah, we went to,
Yeah.
Man of many words.
we went on a youth mission to Mexico before we had a little bit of a couple of days of Bible study or something like that, I don't remember. But we went, and the foundation was already set when we went to Mexico, and then we built a house for this family. And obviously there were times that people obviously didn't have a lot over here, but over in Mexico when we went, we were in kind of like the slums of Tijuana, and it was crazy to see the gratitude that came from being able to build a house from something. And I thought to myself, wow, I was a part of that team that gave somebody a home.
Yeah.
That's impacting. Like, wow, that's amazing. I want to keep on giving like that. And that was then kind of, I guess, almost a catalyst for me in terms of being able to just carry that, again, morals throughout the rest of my life. I don't remember what your original question was. Do you remember?
How you grew?
Yeah, how you grew personally.
Okay,
from like challenging times of like mentoring people, basically.
Okay. So yeah, that I guess was the first bit. And I grew because from that, I had a better understanding of what people need in their lives and how to then help wherever I could. And again, there were times when I had zero money and I couldn't ever give financially to people, but my house was always open. My home was open.
That's so
and
good.
I was able to, I guess, impart and nurture in that respect. Again, might not be able to give a birthday gift to somebody, but I'll say, I look after your kids for a few hours whilst you go.
That is
go
so
away.
much better than a birthday gift.
While you should go away on a trip or whatever, or meal out or something like that. And that was just like those kind of elements have allowed me to grow as a person, because it's not all about one particular aspect in life. It's literally everything combined, like everything. So we just remember that we're kind of vessels for God, and it doesn't matter, God will use us in whatever way possible. And even if you're not a Christian, you're still going to be used.
That's it.
Definitely.
You might not think, you might think, I don't believe in God or whatever, but you also might think, I believe in God, but you're still going to be used somehow. So have a think of that. Ponder that thought, like, how have you done that for others and whatever. Think about those things also.
And how you can do it in the future as well. No,
I'm saying everyone is an influencer. Like, it's not because you don't have 300,000 followers on Instagram and the title, but everyone is an influencer.
Blue tick, good.
An official behind your name. I don't, but everyone is an influencer in their right.
sphere.
Exactly, in all different spheres, whether it's work, family, friendships, relationships, like anything really. You can be that influencer. Even sometimes, have you ever been to like a shop or something and then you're like, whoa, like this person that served me at the shop or at the restaurant, just like there's something about them.
So
definitely.
like the different, like just their personality or how they've been, or the customer service level that you receive is so you notice it straight away, don't you?
Exactly,
when you receive which is really cool. I love what you're saying, that basically it doesn't just have to be time orientated, it doesn't have to be money orientated, like it can work for everybody. Investing into someone else, there's so many opportunities to do it, and that's beautiful, because like you say, some people don't have time, some people we go through seasons and we don't have money to share, and it's just amazing that there are so many other ways that we can build into one another and build people up.
Sorry,
Go for it.
So in terms of like, again, kind of coming into the now, I had to do this well, I didn't have to do it, I chose to do a video for Black History Month, which is October right now, and it went kind of onto the internet system at work, and it kind of been receiving a lot of feedback, and I didn't do it for any props or whatever. I just did it because it came from the heart, and I was asked to do it, and I obliged, really. It's fine. And the email responses that I've received from that, where some people have been completely impacted by what I've said, and some of the things that even like some of the older ladies, we were talking about age, but the older ladies at work at work will say things like, I really hope that my daughter is as inspiring as you are, or that, and I'll just be like, I'm reading these emails thinking, they can't be talking about me, they're talking about me. Like, what?
Definitely talking about you.
Like, but why? Like, what have I said that was so endearing or whatever? But apparently it's the delivery, and it's the words and the articulation and the eloquence and blah blah blah. And I think that's also really important. Is we were talking about how we use it in our work, our daily lives, and all of the things that I've learned from from kind of being in church and stuff like that has come to this point. Like even down to I decided to play drums and decided to play bass. It's not a girly thing, but it allowed me to have that confidence to be able to go into the situations that I am now in a not necessarily a very female orientated position or whatever, and kind of step into that greatness and inspire.
Yeah. What an amazing platform that you were given at work though, to be able to do that and to be able to educate people on Black history though. That's cool. Amazing. Did you get like the comments that you received? Was there anything that like challenged you in that, or?
Not necessarily, because again I didn't do it for any kind of clout. I did it just because I was asked to, or I was asked, would you like to do that? And I just thought, yeah, sure, whatever, and I did it. So not necessarily anything that challenged me, but it has made me think, wow, I really can be an inspiration. I really can be that person that somebody could look up to, and I need to make sure that I'm living it like all the time. Like, everybody has down days or whatever, but at the same time, it's normal. It's completely normal.
Life.
And
definitely.
So,
that's fantastic.
I'll leave it there.
So we're going to wrap up now, but I've got one final question for Canel and Jade, and that is, what would you say to our people that are listening, that are watching, and what would you tell them and how to encourage and invest and build relationship with others? So how would you encourage them to do that for other people based on like your experiences of receiving it and giving as well? Canel?
She always looks at her. Last minute.
I tricked you.
I actually have a verse that I was thinking, that's a verse I remember when I was growing up, like a teenager, early 20s, because now I'm officially in my mid-20s. That really, I was like, I need to make this like my life. It's 1 Timothy 4:12, and it says, do not let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. And like, it's not just because you are young, like any age really is that, but like obviously it's Timothy, and Paul is speaking to Timothy, and you explained earlier how young Timothy was. And like growing up, it was really like, I can make a difference by my speech, my conduct, like the way I love, the way I live my faith, the way like I keep my purity, all of these things. And then I can't let anyone talk down on me because of my age. And it's a challenge when you're young. I guess it can be a challenge as well when you're older, because young can be like, you're so old. Like, or like, I know sometimes we can be like, you don't know what you're talking about. But like, we shouldn't really let anyone put that on us, and just always remember, just keep this, like just set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and purity. And obviously by living like that, it's not just for believers, it's also for people outside, because they see it. Like I said, like I've had people telling me like, oh, you're a Christian, and I'm like, didn't try to be a Christian in front of you, but so just like set an example for people, and just your life will just speak out.
That's brilliant.
Absolutely.
Jade?
Again, the same.
I'd go with the same. Wrap up, that's it.
Just to kind of to add to that, but it pretty much exactly what Canel was saying, and I said it already, to being vessels. We are sent here, we are here, and we've been put on this earth for a reason, and whatever that reason is, let's do it to the best of our ability, and give it the most in whichever circumstance and whichever realm is possible. So go with that and go with God. That's fantastic. I hope you have all enjoyed listening. Okay, mine is probably just living your life like you are, as you are, as followers of God, and that will speak words in itself. So leading by example, inviting people into your life, inviting people into your homes, let them see how you do marriage, let them see how you do parenthood, let them see how you serve and how you do just life in general. And I think naturally people will begin to see, hey, that girl, that person, that family, they really love God, they're putting God first. And you don't always get it right, and that's okay, and hold your hands up when you get it wrong.
But yeah, it's been a really interesting conversation with everybody.
Definitely.
The examples have been amazing, and it's just so encouraging to hear that, like, I knew that I had people in my life that really influenced me, but the fact that you guys have had the same inspiration, whether that's from your husbands, whether that's from people in your work, whether that's from pastors, etc., is just really, really cool. And the fact that we're all sitting here, that you guys are listening, and that we can pass that on as well. And I hope you're excited about it. I hope you're excited about the potential to be able to have an impact on someone else's life that is so positive, that could change their life and how they see themselves as well, is a real amazing opportunity that can't be taken for granted.
Definitely.
So we hope you've had a good week. Yeah. It's been really great for you to be here with us. And Tanya is going to be here next week. She is going to be bringing something amazing. Her title is #2020 Uncancelled. So I bet you are super intrigued to hear what that is all about.
I am too. She told me wait, but I'm still intrigued.
Like I said earlier, she has got a brilliant guest speaker, and I'm sure she's going to bring something that is absolutely inspirational as well. So we hope you've had a good evening, and we'll see you again next Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.